to Local Matters, featuring the resources, good works, and good news happening around us. Today, we begin at Hope Floats Healing and Wellness Center, where Erin Hourihan is a clinical social worker. Erin specializes in working with those who are experiencing grief and loss, infertility, and family stressors. Julie Thompson welcomed Erin via Zoom to learn more about what she does.
Erin, thank you so much for joining us today. I can't wait to talk to you. This is going to be really an interesting conversation. I know you work as an independent licensed social worker at Hope Floats Wellness Center in Kingston. Can you tell our audience a little bit about what that entails, what you do there, and what Hope Floats is?
Absolutely. So I am a licensed independent clinical social worker with a private practice here at Hope Floats. Although right now I'm virtual in my home because of this climate that we're in right now, doing telehealth with individuals, primarily focusing on folks dealing with grief and loss, as well as other mental health disorders like depression and anxiety. But Hope Floats Healing and Wellness is a wonderful facility in Kingston. It's a nonprofit 501(b) that helps folks with grief and loss through healing and wellness strategies. We provide free support groups for all forms of grief and different topics, as well as activities for wellness, such as yoga, Reiki, other types of, other wellness services. We also have an annual walk that unfortunately got delayed this year, but we're hoping to continue at some point. It's our biggest fundraiser. And we are also recently working to help people on the front lines, such as doctors, nurses, and other physical and mental health care providers, helping people in the community who are suffering with COVID-19. These people are essential in obviously helping heal our community. However, they need help too. And so we're working together with some of our co-workers at Hope Floats who are nurses and mental health professionals to create support groups for nurses and doctors right now who are on the front lines, who are managing so much stress related to all that they do every day for our community.
Right, thank you. So Hope Floats generally, you deal with people who have all kinds of different emotional situations that they're in regular times, let alone what we're going through now. You talked to me a little bit before we went on the air about anticipatory grief.
Yeah.
I found that really fascinating. Can you talk about how we are all in this mode of anticipatory grief and what it means and what it looks like?
Right. So really our lives just became upside down a few months ago. And so really we are now in the process of managing this grief reaction we call anticipatory grief. And really it refers to a grief reaction that occurs before an impending loss. And really every day our world is changing and we're needing to figure out what life is going to look like. What's the new norm, if you will. And so there's a lot of loss right now that all of us are experiencing because we simply can't live our lives the way we were several months ago. And so that's why I correlate anticipatory grief with the acute stress of what's going on in our society right now.
And do people that tend to look at the world with a half glass full versus that half glass empty, are they able to handle this stress and this grief differently, or have the rules changed of this whole thing because of the situation we're in?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think that it's so individualized because we all have our strengths and weaknesses. And the other thing too is we've all, in some way, shape, or form, had grief in our life. And really, when we think of grief and loss, we're thinking about losing a loved one or someone that we cared about. But it also really can mean grieving the loss of our jobs or just our daily living, going out in the community, giving somebody a hug. These are all things that we're losing. But there are some people who are managing this a little better and then other people who are not. So it's really it runs the gamut. But nonetheless, no one is impervious to this. Everyone is struggling with this to some capacity.
Right.
And so there are strategies, luckily, for self-care here, but not everybody is, just flying free here. Everyone is having some sort of difficulty.
Right. And before we get into your actual strategies for self-care, which is really an important thing to talk about, human nature, the old phrase, hope springs eternal. That if you have something to hope for, or I'm doing that, I'm going to graduate in June, I'm going to get my first job, I'm going to get married, whatever it is, you always seem to have these little things that you're hopping towards, this next thing that you're hoping for. And with not knowing and not having that, we are tending to take all that stress internally, physically and emotionally. So how do you counsel people to first start with self-care, because if you can't help yourself, you can't help those around you. And then how would you counsel each of us to help our spouses, our children, our coworkers, or whoever's in our world?
Yeah, it's important to first remember that we as a society, and I'm sure our viewers could relate to the fact that they were revving very high. They were, living at a higher level. And a lot of people would agree that they were probably stressed or anxious or feeling really overwhelmed. And because our lives were really big. And now we have been asked to slow down immensely and to make our world much, much smaller. And so, because of that, we now need to have our expectations be smaller. So, the things that we were looking forward to in the future, if you think about it personally, they probably were a little bigger. They were maybe more lofty goals or more thorough goals. And so, really, the strategy there is to now scale it back a little bit and really make your goals smaller, because not everybody is going to be able to live the way they used to. So, therefore, our goals and our objectives need to also match the new way we're living. And that's where people are having a really hard time, because their mentality is back to the way that they've always been living. And we've never lived this way before. And that's why people are really anxious.
Right. Yeah, we're hardwired to go a certain way. And you're right, we have been revving up and revving up and revving up, and everything was instantaneous, and all of a sudden it's not. And you had so many choices for anything you could do on any given night, and all of a sudden you can't. And those fences that are put up, some people react to better than others, I would say. And some people, can we just talk a little bit about anger and how people tend to get angry?
Yes. So I like to say anger's nickname is sadness. And when I tell people that, they really kind of find themselves surprised. But if you really think about it, anger is kind of what we call a surface emotion. And when we really delve into why someone is angry, it's usually because they're sad, because they're disappointed, or they feel like there's some sort of a loss. And so it makes sense that there would be anger right now.
And we see a lot of anger and a lot of polarization in our world, about so many things. So it comes down to how we can react to things and how we put ourselves out there and how we conduct our daily lives. So what advice do you give to each of us to live our best daily life while this is going on?
So basically, you want to think about what's in your control and what's out of your control. And that is a strategy that takes practice. And so once again, if you go back to the model of trying to think on a smaller scale, then adding what is in my control here on a smaller scale versus what is out of my control on a smaller scale, then that will help you, give you a better roadmap of kind of where to put your energy, because we're still learning of where to kind of focus our attention and to do what we are trying to figure out doing.
Right.
So if we know what's in our control and we go down that road, then that's where our energy goes and we'll get results. But if we bring our energy to things that we can't control, then we're going to find ourselves more frustrated and more angry, which really means that we feel kind of powerless.
Right.
So, but there are self-care strategies in between that we can also really utilize that might be helpful.
What can we do to recognize it in those around us, and how can we help the helpers? How can we help all the people in our lives?
Right. So basically, think about taking care of your body and then think about taking care of your mind. And so we can practice what we preach. And if we can practice the things that I'm about to express, as individuals, then we can help the greater good. We can help somebody else. Although sometimes it's easier to, help somebody else and then we feel better inadvertently, and that's another strategy. But basically, thinking about taking care of your body. Number one, we have to try to get enough sleep. A lot of people are talking about nightmares right now or having vivid dreams, and that's really the anticipatory anxiety that we're all experiencing, that our brains are kind of processing through the night. And hopefully that will calm down over time once we wrap our mind around what's going on, but really trying to rest. I'm a big believer in napping. So if you feel like you're needing a nap during the day, I say go for it, because that just means that your body needs some sleep. So do it. Also, participate in regular physical activity where you can. Go for a walk, be out in nature. That is an age-old remedy that really does help almost everybody. Getting some good vitamin D is always a good thing, especially on a beautiful day like today. Luckily, we're heading into our summer months, and so hopefully that will help people too on a physical level. Eating healthy is always great. I know I talked to a lot of people, myself included, who were eating cookies like crazy and baking, and that was definitely something that I had my little run-in with. But hopefully we can keep, on the healthy track of eating. That might make, a difference. Avoid tobacco, alcohol, and drugs. Also limit your screen time. I know that's hard to do, especially when we're, on these virtual platforms nowadays, and we're getting a lot of our information on social media, but basically we just want to limit our screen time. Also, anything that you can do to relax and recharge, that's what you really need to try to focus on.
Wonderful.
So that's how we can help take care of our bodies.
Right.
But then taking care of our minds is usually the harder part.
Right.
So keeping our regular routine throughout this is something that is really vital here to helping our mind and just, our general psyche. So if it means that you get up every day around the same time you normally would, and you get in the shower, then that's what you should continue to do. Something silly, but I make sure that I put shoes on every day. I'm at home, but I keep my shoes on because it makes me feel like I'm actually, I don't know, going to work.
Right.
And
Yeah, a lot
so
of people have said that they're because they're working from home a lot, they don't follow those same protocols, and they feel differently about themselves and their work. And
Yes.
it all makes sense. It really does.
right. So
Go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I forego the slippers and I just put my shoes on.
Good for you. And make your bed, those kind of things, like those traditional habits that kind of give a form to your life. It kind of gives you your guidelines to go by. What do you do if someone absolutely is lost in grief? And you must see this, and it must be difficult because you can't have them there physically with you, and you can't hold them, and you can't cry with them or hug them. How can you, as a counselor, and how can anybody that isn't trained like you recognize that and help support someone who seems to be absolutely lost in grief?
Right. So in connecting with others is, really the sole purpose of us as human beings. And so when it's difficult to build support and strengthen our relationships, that usually tends to fall right in line with grief and loss, particularly related to the loss of a loved one. And so if we're noticing that somebody else that we care about is starting to exhibit symptoms, primarily of depression and anxiety related to loss, We want to look for the things that they're talking about related to just feeling, depressed and feeling down, and really concentrating on listening to the words that they are using, especially if they're talking, about possibly not being here themselves, if they're having what we call suicidal ideation or suicidal thoughts. That's a time when we really need to intervene and we need to get that person professional help.
Right.
If you, as an individual, are experiencing symptoms like that, then of course, it is imperative that you get yourself professional help. One way to do that, of course, is to contact your primary care physician and ask that they find you resources for utilizing therapy in the community. Finding someone like myself who has a private practice or works in a mental health clinic.
Right. You must get an awful lot of new clients, and that's probably a terrible way to put it, but there's so many people who need the services that you're offering. And I know lay people who aren't trained in what you do, you don't want to misread signs, and you don't want to not see signs, and can people just call and ask? Can they say, look, I have a loved one and this is what I'm seeing, what do you suggest I do? Can people do that?
Absolutely. I think that, another wonderful resource in the community, that's online is a forum called Psychology Today. And that's, of course, where you can find all types of therapy services in the community. And, you can contact any one of the people that are listed and you can have, almost like an intake session over the phone, because people might have never been to therapy before, especially nowadays with telehealth. It's different because it's virtual. It's not in person the way it traditionally is, and that might really deter people. And you could argue that this is the most important time that people could utilize, a listening ear and an objective person to listen to what's going on for them and come up with those personal strategies to help them kind of process and figure out what to do for themselves.
Right. And to realize that there's no shame in asking for help. I know there's so many people who are so proud and they say, oh, I can figure this out. I can get through this myself. And it's okay, right? I mean, if we hear nothing else today, it's okay to ask for help, to say, I don't know how to do this, right?
Julie, yes. And if nothing else, the message today is that everybody experiences this. And I hate to say it in this way, but no one is impervious to loss. And so whether it be the loss of a loved one, the loss of a pet, the loss of a job, the loss of a home, it doesn't matter. All of us experience it. And so therefore we grieve and mourn the loss of what it is that we loved or cared about. Right. And so no one is going to not be touched by it. And most likely we're going to see the people that we care about also struggle with it. So what do we do about it when we see that?
And my last question to you is this grief and is loss and is everything that we're experiencing now, I know I've spoken to many people who think this is going to permanently change them and scar them and make them a different person. How do you speak to that whole mindset?
I hope that it changes us, but I hope that it changes us for the better because we are here to learn. I look at this like this is Earth School, and we are here in school to learn. And so we're going to mess up. We're going to have struggles. This is hard work. And so when we figure out ways to help ourselves and we achieve the lessons we're supposed to learn, that's when we are successful. Right. And so let's take this time to kind of be successful in slowing down. Let's take this time to learn how to take care of ourselves, therefore, in turn, taking care of others, and be a more genuinely caring society. That's what we can learn right now.
And that can be our silver lining.
I hope so. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that way too. But it's nice to hear it from a professional saying that because you're right. I can't thank you enough, Erin, for being with us today. This has been really wonderful. So Hope Floats, people can contact you through the website. I know that Hope Floats right now is offering some counseling without charge. Is that true?
So Hope Floats is made up of a myriad of mental health professionals like myself. And so we each have our own private practice there. And so you can go on to hopefloatswellness.org and you can click on all of the services that we have. And you can see all of the things that we have to offer. The groups are free. The majority of our activities are free. Therapy services can be, depending on the provider, on a sliding scale fee, and all of us take insurance.
Sure.
And luckily right now there is no co-pays right now because the governor has put that in place. So that's a lovely thing.
Yeah.
So if you want to reach out, of course, you go onto that website, give us a call, and we can, kind of gear you in the right direction. Unfortunately, right now, though, we are working, to continue with our groups, but on a virtual basis.
Sure.
So like everything else, we're doing our work through virtual platforms right now. But hopefully at some point soon, we can get back to seeing each other all in person.
Yes, and giving, instead of virtual hugs, giving real hugs to people.
Exactly.
Erin, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. Really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for your time and thanks for having me on.
Okay. Elizabeth, throw it back to you.
Thank you, Julie, and thank you, Erin, for being a helper and a source of healing for so many. And it is the helpers who give so much of their own physical and emotional energy to others that can use support also. Healing for the Helpers is a free virtual support group for nurses who help treat, care, and support patients and families impacted by COVID-19. Hope Floats Wellness Center is offering this group via Zoom to provide a safe space for caregivers to manage stress and navigate emotional responses related to moral and compassion fatigue. Sessions are on Thursdays from 5 to 6:15 p.m. Contact Denise at hopefloatswellness.org to register. And how are you? That feels like a bigger question now, doesn't it? How are you physically, financially, emotionally? Checking in with each other when we're all so stressed and so uncertain of the future can help all of us feel and know we're not alone. That's why we think your personal story about how you've been impacted and are adapting to this new world is important. We're interested in how you are and how you're coping, and would like to document the ways our community is rising together to meet unprecedented challenges. So, since social distancing means we can't come to you yet, we're asking you to record a video with your own phone or device, answering 8 short questions to form a narrative of your experience during the COVID-19 epidemic. We'll air your responses here on Local Matters, on our channel, in social media, and in a documentary we're working on about these times. Your video can be as short as 30 seconds or as long as 10 minutes, and you don't have to answer all the questions to participate, just the ones that feel right to you. To get the questionnaire, visit our website at pactv.org, your COVID-19 experience, or you could just give us a call at 508-830-6999 and ask for Elizabeth or Tiffany, because your story is an important part of the local scene. Last week, we featured a virtual event with transformational storyteller Jim Brule. This week, Jim has kindly recorded a favorite story for us to share with you, the Chofetz Chaim.
Hi, I'm Jim Brule. I'm a Maggid, which means I'm a spiritual storyteller in the Jewish tradition. And I have a story today that I think you'll appreciate. It's a story about a man named Rabbi Israel Meir Kagan, otherwise known as the Chofetz Chaim, which means somebody who desires life. And the Chofetz Chaim, well, he really, really loved people. He had a big, generous heart, and he was ready to forgive people for seemingly nothing. As an example, once he was called as a character witness in a secular court, and the judge, who wasn't too fond of Jews, said, well, why should we accept him as a character witness? What do we know about him? And the lawyer for the case said, well, Judge, there was a time not too long ago when somebody broke into the rabbi's house, and he stole his silver. And as he was making his way out of his house, he hadn't gone more than a couple feet, it seems, then he ran into a policeman. The silver went scattering, and the policeman started to beat the guy up for having broken into the house. And the rabbi looked out his window, saw what was doing, ran downstairs, found a silver plate, and then outside, where he said to the officer, "Stop, stop, stop, you shouldn't be doing this." The officer looked at him and said, "What do you mean? He stole all your silver?" He says, "No, no, no." And he holds up the plate and he says, "My good man, I told you you could have all my silver, and you forgot this. Please, please, take it." And of course, the policeman let him go. And that's because he didn't want to see this man be beaten up. Well, the judge looks at the lawyer and says, "Do you expect me to believe that?" The lawyer said, "Well, maybe yes and maybe no, but can you imagine anyone ever telling a story like that about me or you?" So that was the Chofetz Chaim. Now, it happened that one day he was traveling to a large city where he was going to be the honored guest at this big ceremony. And, he was a tiny little poor man who was sitting in the back of the car, reading. And up towards the front of the car, there were a bunch of big, burly folks who were laughing and drinking and playing cards and having a wonderful old time. And one of them sees the Chofetz Chaim there back towards the back of the car, and he thinks, we can make some money off of this guy. So he calls over him and says, "Hey, you dirty peasant, come on up here, play some cards with us." And the Chofetz Chaim looks at him and says, "No, I'm reading. Thank you very much, but no thank you." The fellow looks at him and says, "I told you, come up here, we want to play cards with you. Get yourself up here." Chofetz Chaim kind of shrinks a little and says, No, thank you. I don't play cards. I wouldn't know how to play." Well, the burly man gets really angry now and says, "That's exactly the kind of man we want." He runs over and he grabs him by the scruff of his neck, pulls him over and sits him down at the table, says, "Deal him in." The Chofetz Chaim says, "Look, I can't play. I'll sit here and I'll watch, but And the man, who's got one hand still on his collar, slaps him across the face and says, "You'll play with us." Big red mark on his face. Now, in that moment, the train stops and everyone goes piling off. And the Chofetz Chaim waits his turn. Now, when the big burly guy comes off, he sees this big crowd out there and wonder what's going on. And as the Chofetz Chaim walks out, the whole crowd erupts into cheers. And the man realizes he's hit the wrong fellow. And he goes over to him. He says, "Oh, please, please, forgive me. I struck you. I shouldn't have hit you. Such a famous rabbi. I'm sorry." Now, everybody knows the Chofetz Chaim, and everybody knows, of course, he's going to forgive him. But the Chofetz Chaim says, "I'm sorry, I can't forgive you." The crowd goes quiet. The man says, No, please, please, forgive me. I'm so big and you're so small, I shouldn't have hit you. I'm sorry. Chofetz Chaim looks at him and said, "I'm afraid I can't." The man says, I don't get it." He said, "This is the third time I've asked you. You've got to forgive me. Please forgive me. I'm sorry I hit you, Rabbi." And the Chofetz Chaim says, "I can't forgive you. You didn't hit me." Now everybody's looking at me. He's got this big red mark on his face, and the fellow says, "Rabbi, what are you talking about? Of course I hit you. There's my handprint right on your face." And the Chofetz Chaim says, No. I'm a famous rabbi. You didn't hit me. you hit some poor peasant at the back of the train. Go find him and apologize to him. And that's the story of the Chofetz Chaim from Belarus.
Thank you, Jim. A creative way to say everyone is equal. With travel out of the question for most of us right now, Google Arts and Culture has stepped it up with virtual tours of some of the most awe-inspiring global sites. This week, we're featuring a man-made wonder, the Palace of Versailles, the famous home of Louis XIV. Get some home remodeling ideas on a video tour of the palace, inspiration from its artworks and extensive, lush gardens, and go inside the famous Hall of Mirrors. There's an online exhibit of the sciences studied at Versailles, too. A little something for everyone. And if you'd like to explore more local sites, equally inspiring in their own way, the Plymouth Antiquarian Society invites you to sing through history. Executive Director Dr. Ann Mason tells us more.
Hello, my name is Ann Mason. I am the Executive Director of the Plymouth Antiquarian Society, which owns 3 historic houses in downtown Plymouth: the Hedge House, the Spooner House, and the Harlow House. Due to current public health concerns, we are not able to open our museums for in-person tours. However, we are still working to share local history with you remotely. I invite you to join me for Sing Through History, a virtual event on Saturday, June 6th at 1 p.m. This virtual event will take the place of our previously scheduled Burial Hill tour on the same topic. The Burial Hill tours have been presented in partnership with Pilgrim Hall Museum, typically on the first Saturday of the month. The virtual event will be presented through a Zoom webinar. I will share with you songs from the past that have survived in the Antiquarian Society's archival collection. You'll be able to see the original manuscripts and then hear the tunes of 18th century hymns, 19th century reform songs, and even 20th century love songs. You'll have the opportunity to ask questions and receive my answers in real time. And since this is a virtual event that you'll be participating in from the privacy of your home, you can sing as loudly as you would like. I do hope people will enjoy this event as a sing-along and really feel that they can sing heartily and learn these songs from the past. This event is free and open to all, but you do need to register. You can do that on our website, PlymouthAntiquarian.org/events/sing. Once you register, I will send you the link for connecting with the Zoom webinar. Music can provide a wonderful glimpse into the heart and soul of a community. I hope that you can sing through history with me on Saturday, June 6th at 1 p.m. See you then.
Thank you, Dr. Mason. Burial Hill is a gorgeous spot on a hill above town to walk through in reverence and remind ourselves everything is temporary. For a new generation of budding musicians, the Duxbury Free Library and early childhood expert Bethany Gavin are offering a 30-minute class with songs, dance, and movement games on Saturday, May 30th from 10 to 10:30 a.m. Tune in on the Duxbury Free Library Facebook page live with your 6 to 36-month-old and let the music move you both. Also at the Duxbury Free Library, Trivia Brothers are hosting a virtual Family Challenge Trivia Night on June 7th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Challenge other families or bring other households onto your team to compete via Zoom. You'll need 2 devices in order to enjoy the experience: a computer to join the Zoom meeting and a smartphone or tablet to play the game and enter your answers. To get your Zoom link, register on the library website. And good luck. Like food and drink, music is something that we turn to in good times and hard times. Kingston resident and musician Chris Ballerini sent us in something to turn to.
Bill Carter once said to me, Life is rich for those who need a little. Made my way from sea to sea. Left my mind somewhere in the middle. When I feel low and the time is crawling by. When I feel low, oh man, I know where I wanna go. Way up north where the sun's a late setter. Way up north, man, I feel a bit better. When the tide rolls in, we'll be floating right back again. Way up north where the sun's a late setter. Half my heart hides up my sleeve. Left the rest in the back of my car. It sits next to my college degree. Leaving me there with the moon and the stars. When I feel low and the time is crawling by. When I feel low, oh man, I know where I wanna go. Way up north where the sun's a late setter. Way up north, man, I feel a bit better. When the tide rolls in, we'll be floating right back again. Way up north where the sun's a late setter. My grandmother once said to me, you can't go where you already been. There are too many things to see. There are too many ways to sin. Way up north, way up north, way up north, way up north. Way up north where the sun's a late setter. Way up north, man, I feel a bit better. When the tide rolls in, we'll be floating right back again. Way up north where the sun's a late setter. Way up north where the sun's a late setter. Way up north, man, I feel a bit better. When the tide rolls in, we'll be floating right back again. Way up north where the sun's a late setter.
Life is all around us, yet it is still a mysterious source of wonder to artists and scientists alike. The Museum of Science Boston has teamed up with the Multiverse concert series for a virtual live stream combining music and science in live performance. Join scientists, a dancer, singer, and composer to ask, how does life organize itself here on Earth? And how might it present itself on another world? This one-night-only virtual event is on June 2nd and is something really special. Thanks to the generosity of the Lowell Institute, it's free. Sign up through the Museum of Science Boston Facebook page. Groceries. We all need them, but with the world the way it is right now, in-person shopping can be a nerve-wracking experience. There are other options, and on the latest installment of Apps Untapped, Tiff takes you through the sometimes tricky world of online grocery shopping.
Hi there, Tiff here again to bring you another installment of Apps Untapped. Now, during the super fun, happy time we're living in, there's a lot going on in people's minds. But the most important thing people are thinking about is food. Food. And since many are hesitant about going to the store to pick up their groceries, a lot of folks are relying on the World Wide Webs for their grocery pickups. Today, we're going to talk about online grocery store ordering, or more importantly, grocery apps. There are some misconceptions about online grocery ordering right now, but mainly that it's impossible to get a time slot. But there are ways around it, and I'm going to show you how. Just a disclaimer before we get into it, I'm a consumer just like you. I'm not an expert and I'm not promoting any businesses or services. These are just tips from one pal to another. All right, so today we're going to tackle Instacart. Instacart is an online grocery delivery company. You place an order through the app, someone does all of your shopping, and then in the time frame of your choice, your groceries are delivered to your doorstep. It's like magic or modern technology. Instacart offers a long list of stores: Target, Market Basket, and Big Y. Today, we're going to focus on Big Y. In case you're wondering how we chose today's store, we used a highly scientific method. Let's open up the Big Y app, and one thing to note is that in order to get a delivery, you have to spend a certain amount of money. The first thing we're going to do is make sure that we have the correct address, so the app knows the closest available store to shop from. You can start at the search bar to look for your items. Here, you'll also have the option of scanning the barcode of a product in your very own home. Just be careful because it's so fun, you're going to want to scan everything. All right, that's enough. Now we can fill up our cart. Now I'm going to add items to my cart by clicking the plus sign next to the product of my choice. Sometimes you'll find an item is running low, so the app will offer a substitute of the product if that product is out of stock. If you like the option the store has chosen, you can hit approve. And if you don't like the option, you can change it to something else. If you're not too picky about your product, at least you'll have something. All right, now that we've filled up our cart, we're going to check out. And at the top right-hand corner, you'll notice your cart. Reviewing your cart is super important so you don't end up with 22 bags of Cheetos. Although, would that be such a bad thing? After you're done reviewing, hit checkout. Now, you can choose a date and time and write any instructions you might have for your delivery person. You do have the option to leave food on your doorstep to practice social distancing. When you're done, you'll hit pay. For iPhone, it's Apple Pay, and for Android, it's Google Pay. You'll have time to change or add to your list before the shopper starts. Now, this can actually be an interactive shopping experience. There's a tracker that you'll be sent via text that tells you when the shopper begins, is on their way to your house, and when your groceries have been delivered. Once you've received your initial receipt, you can hit chat and actually text with the person who's shopping for your groceries. The shopper will text you when an item is completely out of stock, and you'll be notified if you have been refunded. Then the app will update you when it's on its way through the tracker. And ta-da! You'll have groceries. So now you know how to order, but here's some quick tips. Make a list of your meals for the week so you know exactly what you have to order, and have a backup plan in case your store runs out of the item. It's hard to make mashed potatoes without actual potatoes. Reserve your time slot. A lot of folks complain that they can't seem to find a time slot, but here's a trick you can use if you know you're going to place an order beforehand. You can actually put a couple of items in your cart and it will hold your time spot. Also, if you plan on ordering, you can order in the morning. I know, early, gross, but more time slots are available in the AM. Be flexible. Be as flexible as you can. Not everything is what you would have picked out, but it is a pandemic and you have to remember that the shoppers are doing the best they can. Also, it's sometimes fun to see what they choose. It might have been something you never thought to try. So now you're ready to embrace the world of online grocery shopping. I'm excited for you. Yay! This episode is dedicated to all the essential food workers out there, the ones fulfilling orders for delivery services and working in the stores to keep us all fed. We appreciate you guys, and we wish you safety and good health. This has been Apps Untapped. It's been great chatting with you. Be well.
Thanks, Tiff. This is a welcome tool that can make life easier and a little less stressful right now. Now, Erica Christensen is here to update us on our school community.
One thing that an athlete places a large value on is flexibility. Pembroke business owner and Silver Lake Regional High School graduate, David Gleason, has taught flexibility for years as part of his Athletics Acceleration South Shore youth sports training classes, and has found a way to stay in motion during the COVID-19 crisis by transitioning his training sessions from a brick-and-mortar location in Pembroke to online Zoom classes. Athletes are grouped by age in Zoom sessions that generally include 18 to 20 people. They go through their personal workout and training regimens under the watchful eye of Gleason and his coaches, Justin Mucci and Julie Brady. While we are still adjusting to new things each day, fitness is not a new endeavor for Gleason. He's been involved in the industry in one way or another since 1993. To provide a memorable commencement in socially distant times, the drive-up graduation for the class of 2020 will be held at Plymouth Rock. The superintendent will distribute diplomas from Pilgrim Memorial State Park with the iconic national landmark as the backdrop. The graduation will take place on Saturday, June 6th, with nearly 600 vehicles carrying the graduates to the waterfront. Plymouth South High School graduates will take the stage first, starting at 8:30 a.m. Plymouth North graduates follows in the afternoon, starting at 2 p.m. Family vehicles will stage near Stevens Field at specific times and then proceed to graduation from the south end of the waterfront in convoys of 20 to 25 students. Each student will be given a face mask with their school name and class to wear during the ceremony. Many students and families had hoped for a delayed ceremony that could allow students to graduate with their peers in a traditional fashion. One student drafted an online petition and was signed by over 1,000 people, asking officials to rethink the plan. Maestas and the school committee noted that students entering the military after high school would not be able to attend the graduation in the summer, when conditions might not be any better. Each student will be allowed to decorate their vehicle tastefully and can travel to graduation with any family members they choose, although only family vehicles, no stretch limousines or party vans. The school will provide vehicles for any graduate who does not have access to a ride. The drive-up graduation will give families closer access to the stage than usual. After dropping off students, family vehicles will be within 10 to 15 feet of the stage. The drive-up ceremonies will allow each graduate to walk the stage in cap and gown, but will not be done alphabetically. Rather, students will be given a name card that will be handed to administrators as they approach the stage. The administrators will then read each name, and the superintendent, the school principal, and the school committee chairman will hand out diplomas. The district will hold student award and scholarship ceremonies virtually during the week leading up to the graduation. Pre-recorded student speeches will be aired during the award ceremonies. Spectators will not be allowed, but video cameras will film graduation from multiple angles, and the event will be live streamed over the Facebook District Facebook page. The graduation will also air live on Plymouth Ed TV's public access television channels. A live touch photographer will photograph each graduate with their diploma and Plymouth Rock in the background after they leave the stage. Maestas said that he and Plymouth 400 Inc. will give each student a gift along with their diploma in recognition of their graduation during the town's 400th anniversary. We are so pleased to share that Silver Lake Regional High School has received approval to hold a special parade in honor of the class of 2020 on May 30th at 11 a.m. In conjunction with local police departments, efforts have been made to organize an event to honor graduates in a safe and celebratory fashion. This is only for the graduating seniors. No outside spectators are allowed other than who is in the car with the student. Students and family will meet at the designated staging area at 10:45 a.m. Cars will leave these areas at 11 a.m., led by a police escort. All car groups will arrive at Silver Lake campus at approximately the same time after converging at the railroad tracks. There are a few rules for this, so please pay attention. There is only one car per graduate, and they must always remain in the vehicle. Students and passengers in the cars are not required to wear masks. However, staff along the parade route will wear masks and maintain social distancing guidelines. No cars will be allowed to enter the parade who do not go to the staging area, where they must stay in line until the end of the parade after exiting Silver Lake's campus, and graduates are encouraged to sit in the passenger seat so they can see the staff. Sincere best wishes are extended to the class of 2020 for a happy, healthy, and successful future. We are so proud of you. Back to you, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Erica, and congratulations to all graduating seniors. The world is waiting for you, and we need you. And thanks to you for joining us for this episode of Local Matters, which is a production of the local scene of PAC TV. To find a complete list of resources mentioned in this show, visit our website at pactv.org/local scene. Follow us on Instagram and like us on Facebook to keep updated on the ways that we shine a light on your stories and our community. From all of us at PAC TV, stay safe.